Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unlock Tuesday live stream. I am Jessie Lang, and I am here every single Tuesday at 2 o'clock, bringing you guys all things rentals. So I help people buy 1 to 3 rental properties per month on autopilot. You can see it. See it right there on my name, and that is exactly what we do. It's what I've been doing the last 3-4 years now, and we have quite a good sized portfolio, about 70 units, about $10 million as of today. And so what we are going to do today is actually one of my favorite series that we do. And I am breaking down a real life case study of a BRRRR deal that we just purchased. So I hear all the time, BRRRR is dead, BRRRR is dead. You can't do this anymore. And you can, okay? You can if you have the right focus and the right mindset and you're not single-minded on one certain thing, and I'll call this out. So if you guys want to keep this party rolling after this live training, we're going to have a live workshop where I break down exactly how I help people buy 1 to 3 rental properties per month on autopilot. So Lizzie is going to drop that link in the chat. Would love to see you there. It's 3 o'clock Eastern, so just the following hour. We'll drop the link at the end as well. So today, like I said, we are going over a real life case study. I'm going to open up my calculator. I am going to open up all the pictures, invoicing, everything that you need to see in order to get more confident that this is something you can do too. This is not just for the rich people out there, right? This is for anyone if you have the right systems, the right skills, the right processes, the right community. So let's get to it. As I pull everything up, I do want to remind you that this is super interactional. I want to hear from you. I want to answer your questions. So as we go through, it looks like quite a few people are on now. As we go through, just go ahead and throw those questions in the comments, whether you are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is, we can see them all. So throw them in the comments and we will get those answered. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. Before I hop into the pictures, let's kind of look at a high level on where this deal is, where I found it, all of that. And so this property is on Eakin Avenue. It is in Columbus, Ohio, 43204. And it is a 2-bed, 1-bath. There is a full 2-car garage with electric, which is important to note because the garage door actually it's not just a shed, it's a working garage, and a full unfinished basement. It is 950 square feet, but as we go through the pictures, you'll see it feels a lot bigger than that actually. So 950 square feet. It came from a wholesaler who is a dear friend of mine, actually one of our community members, and he brought me this deal. They were asking 95. Actually, that a lot of times I hear from people, well, I can't work with wholesalers because they all have ridiculous prices and, the prices never make sense. I'll tell you, this asking price was pretty spot on. So we actually ended up buying it for $92,500. So just a slight reduction, but original asking price was $95K. Now, as part of, let's kind of recap real quick. What is the BRRRR method? And this is the method that I have used to buy our portfolio. It is to buy a distressed property under market value. Okay, you see that. So buy, renovate. We have to renovate the property up to market conditions. We get it rented, we refi, and we repeat and do it over and over and over. And so if you see, the key component to making a BRRRR deal work is that actually what it's worth once it's fixed up is much higher than the price that you're paying. How much higher? You got to go to your calculator for that. But it is higher than the price that you're paying. So as you can see, this one is going to be worth $188,000, $190,000 once it's fixed up, but I'm only buying it for $92,500. So before we get into like a deep dive on all the numbers, renovation, all that, I kind of want to show you the condition at the time that we bought it. So you guys can see my screen. Let me know in the comments if you can see my screen and where you're watching from. That helps me a lot. So I think y'all can see this. If you see there's some water issues, is it from the hot water tank or is it from the basement? That is something you need to figure out. It actually was, in this case, from the hot water tank, which is fantastic, and not the basement walls. You can see that the meter, the panel is decent. Looks like it has washer dryer hookups. American See It, awesome, from Portland. Good to see you here. The ductwork needs some tape, but not a huge deal. Windows in the basement. It was never this wet down here. So I think it was just something with one of the mechanicals, which is a good thing. Hot water tank was in good condition. The sewer stack did need some replacing, which you'll see in the after photos. And I'm not going to go through like every single detail, of course. You know, there was a little bit of work needed on the joist. The furnace and AC were actually in quite good condition. So we didn't have to replace those, as you can see. Y'all let me know if you need any questions. Oh, we have someone from Alaska. That's awesome. If y'all have any questions as I'm going through, throw them in the chat and I'll definitely get those answered for you. So let's start. So that's all the basement. You'll see the kind of renovation we do down there. It's clean, it's safe. That's our goal. Once we get up into the kitchen, we're looking at kind of some more cosmetic stuff. So, you know, this was not, it was fine, but not super functional, just really outdated and kind of beat up. So we did replace the whole kitchen, just some minor drywall repair. I haven't looked at these in a while. Ours look much better. So this is our dining room, and it has this like cute little kind of cutout that leads to the living room. Now, it looks like this floor is in pretty good condition, but I'll tell you that once we got there, it actually was not. And it did not match the living room, which we always are wanting symmetrical flooring throughout. So that is something that was replaced. There's ceiling fan, fireplace. The stairs were just painted. Now we get upstairs. It's a super, super simple layout. It's very common here in Ohio, basically. Two living room, kitchen, kind of the living room's double. Then you have your dining room, your kitchen. That's the whole downstairs. And then you either have 2 or 3 bedrooms upstairs with a bathroom. Super, super common. So because this is only a 2-bed, the floor plan's smaller, but it actually left room for a really good sized bathroom, which is nice. Sometimes they'll try to fit in 3 bedrooms up here, and then you have this tiny little cramped bathroom. So it's a pretty nice. So we'll keep on going. You see, and these are the subtle things that sometimes people don't think about, is we are pet friendly. Our properties are pet friendly. And the way that the backyard's organized is you can actually let a dog out the back it's fully fenced. And then the garage is on the other side of the fence and it doesn't cover the driveway. So sometimes you actually get into like the issue of, do you cover the driveway if you want your yard fence? But this one was super cool. We didn't have to do that. And look at this amazing garage. Like, I mean, this thing is huge, as electric, it functions. So yeah, this is what I was saying. You see, you can come in the garage parking here, and then you can let your dog out here. So it's super, super functional. And that is actually something that that people do think about. Sorry, this is Bandit coming through. Come on, buddy. Sorry, we foster cats. So here's our basement, our garage and backyard. There's just some general deferred maintenance, but really the exterior was in quite good condition, just some cleanup and some touch-up paint. We did build handrails, which you'll see, because that is above the threshold. And we put a roof on it as well. So everything that we've done, let me show you in the after pictures. And then I actually want you guys to let me know how much you think this renovation cost. So I'll make these a little bigger. One of the number one problems that we see from new investors is over renovating. You do not have to over renovate. We're looking for function and safety. And so you see there's some a little bit of paint missing on the sides. We didn't do anything about it, and it's going to have no issues getting the property rented. So the exterior looks pretty similar. As you can see, we just could clean it up a little bit. But here's what people really care about, right? Is the inside. Leo is saying $12,000. So I'm going to tell you it's definitely more than that. We did the whole interior, all new flooring. We always close off the fireplace. That is just for the safety of our property. So you kind of get an idea what we did, right? We really built out the kitchen much more. There's our appliances. The bathroom is super straightforward. Nice big bedrooms, new ceiling fans. And so this is our listing. This is what we have listed. You see in the basement, how it was filled with water, had all sorts of issues. It is just nice, clean, and safe. That's our goal. So let us know in the comments. Tanya says 65K. Mira says 45. 52K. Okay, so these are some really good guesses, you guys. These are some really good guesses. We were at $46,989. So $46,989. That is, unfortunately, we did have to replace the main water line. So there was quite, Leo, I don't know where you're doing your work, but if you pay 20K for this, I want to come to your market. That's amazing. So it was about 47K with a new roof and a new water line. So this, what you're seeing here is our custom BRRRR calculator. I have built this out with the help of a team over the last 4 years, really. And so it is going to break down buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat, as well as a lot of your cash flow stuff and some future projections. So we'll go through all of that. So like I said, the key is that it appraises for significantly higher than you pay. So in this case, it appraised for $188,000 on the refi. The refi lender will give us 75% of that. And then this is kind of like our quick Mayo. This is how we run. Leo says, no wonder I'm not making any money. That's funny. So this is how we run our quick analysis to kind of get an idea of what I could pay. So look at this. If it's worth 188, bank will give us 75%. I'm putting 47K into it. Then this Mayo maximum allowable offer is about 94K. Now, remember, I paid 92.5. So I'm right there in the ballpark, which is great. And then our monthly rent on this is $1,350. That is just right at the 1% rule. And so many investors, you just feel this, you just think of these numbers. What's my Mayo? What's my 1% rule? And you stop there. And so this is a great strategy to be able to get a quick analysis, but I would absolutely not recommend buying a property only on these numbers. Okay. They're going to give you a good idea if it's worth looking into further. So in this case, it was worth looking into further. So I continued with my analysis. This is just a quick summary, but I'm going to show you guys the long version. So we're in the buy section. I bought this for $92.5, as we've said a few times. And our lender is going to give us 90% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab, and up those two numbers combined up to 70% of what it will be worth once it's fixed up. So let me zoom in a little. Okay, can y'all see this a little better? Andy asked if we have a breakdown. Yes, we can share a breakdown of exactly what all went into this. Yes. So in this scenario, I could have borrowed a little bit more, but I actually just borrowed $71,800 towards the purchase price, and I borrowed 100% of the rehab, so $47,200. 12% interest is pretty common for a hard money lender. I paid monthly. The interest-only payments paid monthly throughout the project. Title to close this was about $2,200, and that's because I was buying it off market through a wholesaler, and it's pretty common that you are paying both your closing costs and the seller's closing costs. So it's a little bit higher than you probably would pay on a property at this purchase price because I was paying both sides. Now, our lender closing costs are $1,800. That includes an appraisal, and I pay 1 point, and 1 point equals to 1% of the loan. And so if you were to fund the gap, which is your down payment, you would fill that all in here. But I actually just I fund my own gaps. Like I just pay cash for my down payment with the goal that we're getting that back or the majority of that back at the time of refi. So I will show you, we'll do all the inputs and then I'll go down into the analysis section. So like I said, it appraised for 188. That's a full appraisal, licensed appraiser, all that. 75% is what this bank will give me for 30 years. And we're at 7.875. I actually just closed this property this past Friday. So 9/27. And so it's, rates are coming down. It's exciting. I'm excited about it. When rates are high, you want to be asking your lender, what is the prepayment penalty? That's going to be really important. What is the prepayment penalty? So this has a very simple prepayment penalty. It's 1% if I were to sell or refi anytime in the next 3 years, right? 1% anytime in the next 3 years. So if for some reason I needed to, I'd pay about $1,500 and I could get out of that loan. So loan closing costs on this one were $22. Sorry, title was a little bit less expensive because I am getting some savings. I'm not paying the seller's closing costs, and I'm getting a little bit of savings on our title insurance because it was just refinanced. But you're doing 2 loans, so you actually are doing two title searches. The lender wants to be protected. So when you're doing a BRRRR, you're closing 2 different loans. And so this second loan, the refi, was $1,800. The lender charged me $2,250. I paid another point. DSCR limitation is 1.1. We're not going to go into this super in depth, but this is something that you should be asking your long-term lenders because it really, really could limit the amount of money that you are able to borrow. And so essentially, if your rent isn't high enough, it stands for debt service coverage ratio. So is the money coming in enough to cover the mortgage? And if it's not, then you're not going to be able to borrow 75% of ARV, which you may think that you're getting. So it's really, really important that you understand this DSCR limitation. So same thing, if you are, raising money, if you're leaving money in a deal at the time of refi, which you'll see we left a little money in this deal, and that money is coming from a source that has interest rate attached to it, you would fill that in here. So if that money's from a HELOC or a brokerage account or line of credit against a brokerage account, anywhere that you are paying money, you would fill that in here. And now we get down to the rent section. So this one is renting for $1,350. My insurance is about $75. These are my actual taxes, $118. And obviously, it's not an HOA. It's a single family in a normal residential neighborhood. So these are kind of all of our inputs. Any questions on the input section and why I kind of filled in what I did? I'm going to keep going, but y'all ask those in the comments and I'll definitely come back. So now let's get to kind of the results section. So everything we input, what is this telling us about the deal? So you'll see on the buy side, I paid about $5,100 in closing costs between points and title fees and all that. $25K out of pocket was totally fine for me in this deal. That was about 21% down. You can get much closer to 10 to 15% down. I picked a lender that had a little bit, I like some of their other terms and they didn't let me borrow quite as much. No problem. You'll see I get quite a bit of that back. So I put $25K down on this one. My monthly interest only is $1,200. And you'll see here, oh wait, hold on. You'll see here that I have 3 important dates. I have the day we bought it, the day that it was occupied, because on that day is when your holding costs stop, right? You still have the cost, but it's offset by the rent that's incoming. And then I also have my refi date. And that's when all of your interest expense on the first loan stops because it's paid off. And so you have to have those 3 dates to actually be able to calculate your total interest expense because it's based on how long you have that money. So I had the money from July to mid-September or end of September. And so my total interest cost on my hard money loan is about $3,500. I went to the money store, walked to the money store. I said, hey, how much will it cost to borrow $119,000 towards this project? They said it'll cost you $3,500. I said, cool, I'll take it. So that was my kind of cost for borrowing that money. I borrowed the 119. So all in, on my payoff, I was at about 122, paid back to the lender. Now we get to the renovate section. So I have some monthly holding costs, and these are costs that while the project's under renovations, my taxes don't stop. My insurance doesn't stop. I have utilities to pay. And so we account for all of that in this kind of holding cost section, which did I go too far? Yes, I did. Then plus my interest expense. So my total monthly holding cost is about $1,600 on this project. Now, that is coming out of my pocket. So that's a really important number that you need to know. So knowing the days that I held this money, I had about $4,300 out of my pocket to get this project ready to be rented. Now, next step to look at is your total rent ready costs. This is every penny that it cost me to go from purchase, closing the loan, title cost, renovations, materials, everything that we needed to get this project rent ready. So we kind of call this also like a little bit of an all in. So I was all in for $149. Now, remember, this is worth $188. Okay. So that's going to come in handy later. Let's get down to our refi section. I told you about the DSCR limitation. Because this project's bringing in $1,350 a month, I was actually able to borrow up to $160 if it was only the DSCR, but the lower of the two is the loan to value loan amount. So I was throttled down on what I could borrow based on the loan to value, which is the most common version that we see. So I was able to borrow $141 towards the refi. I take this nice new package to the bank. I created a renovated property at market rent. I took it to the bank. I said, how much will you give me? They said, it's worth $188. We'll give you 75% of that. So that's the $141. Now I had some closing costs because I had to pay to close the refi as well. And so all said and done, at the time of refi, I actually got back $16,000. But remember, I had $25,000 down. I had another $4,300 out of my pocket as I was paying those holding costs and interest costs monthly. And so even though I got $16K back, I had some of my money in the deal already. So all said and done, the outcome of this project is that I left about $13,000 in the deal. Now, you're saying, Jessie, you left money in the deal. Is BRRRR dead? If I had bought this property turnkey, I'm pulling out my calculator. If I had bought this turnkey at 188 times 0.2, because I would have to put 20% down, I'd have to put down $37,000, say $38,000 plus closing costs. Okay. So if I bought this turnkey, I would have $40K in the deal, or I can BRRRR it and leave $13K in the deal. So you ask yourself, would you go out and buy this property for $13,000 out of pocket? Y'all, let me know in the comments. Truly, let me know in the comments. Would you buy this nice renovated property with a market rate tenant for $13,000 out of your pocket? I would. I for sure would. And I did. And I would do it again. I would buy this deal over and over and over. So that's kind of the when people say, like, how did your BRRRR turn out? I left about $13K in the deal in central Columbus, Ohio, in a booming market. Like, absolutely sign me up. In addition to that, I created $34,000 in equity. Created $34,000 in equity because it's worth much more than what I owe, right? We have that 25% that the bank will only lend you 75% of the appraised value. So that means you're keeping 25% of the appraised value as equity. And he says 10 times on a Saturday. Absolutely. I'd do it 20 times on a Sunday. What about that? So we would buy this all day, all day. And so good to see everyone in the audience that you would too, because this is realistic. Okay. Now let's get to the cash flow. Before I even show it, I just peeked it. But before I even show this to you, cash flow is the least exciting part of owning real estate. I promise you, there are tax advantages which can offset tens of thousands of dollars on your active income every single year. There is appreciation, meaning the increase in value over time. And we're going to look at some projections. Principal pay down. Someone else is paying your mortgage. We are here for wealth. We are buying rentals for wealth. If I wanted to get rich, I would go flip it. Look at this. I could have made $32K on a flip. If I'm trying to get rich overnight, I would have just flipped it. I'd do, 10 of these a year and call it a great life. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for wealth creation. So let me preface the cash flow section, which you're all probably going to be mad at me about, but let me show you. $1,350 rent, our principal interest, taxes, insurance is $119. Oh, sorry, $1,119. I didn't leave any of my money with interest in the deal. If it was, it'd be here. There is no HOA. I'm accounting for 5% repairs, 5% vacancies. We're not accounting for CapEx because I already did all that stuff. I renovated what I need to make it, we aim for 10 years of no CapEx. So even after all that's said and done, we're bringing in about $96 a month. Woohoo! Okay. What you're seeing online on all these Instagram accounts say, I'm making $300, $400, $500 per door. They are telling you the number without pulling out any maintenance, vacancies, CapEx. So if we were to add those back in, this one's actually cash flowing $231. But to me, that money is gone. I'm using it for turnovers and, for lost rent on vacancies, which is going to happen. So $96 a month or $231 if you think about it this way. This is with a long-term exit strategy. If you were to do a midterm or an Airbnb, you can you can BRRRR into different exits. So you could exit this into a midterm rental where maybe the rent's $1,800 a month, but you're paying utilities and you have to furnish it. And so there's different ways that if cash flow is the thing that is the most exciting to you, then go with a different exit. I'm here for stable, like the stability of long-term, people staying for a long time. That is why we buy for sure. And so this is kind of our cash flow breakdown. Now let's look at some of my KPIs. Payback period. This is basically saying at $96 a month, how long is it going to take me to get to my $13,000 back? It doesn't look great. It's saying it's going to take 11 years to get my money back, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what we call a long BRRRR, and it's going to shorten this number by, it's going to get it down to about 3 years, basically. Took 88 days to BRRRR it. Is our BRRRR turn time from the day I bought it to the day I refied, 88 days. We like to aim for under 120, depending on the size of the project. So right on par. Now let's look at this long-term analysis. This is, I think, probably the coolest part of the calculator, because if you're buying for day one only, you're going to walk away from every deal. We're at almost 7% interest. Okay. If this was, I'm going to show you something real quick. I bought quite a few rentals when we were at 4% interest in COVID, right after COVID. So if I were to change this refi, say 4.5%, remember we were cash flowing $96. Look where we are now. $300 before maintenance and vacancies, repairs and vacancies. $300. So that is the power of cash flow, or I'm sorry, the power of an interest rate I want to show you. But I'm telling you that even at 7%, near 7% interest, that this deal still makes sense, because if you're only looking at day one, you're never going to buy anything. You are never going to buy anything because rates are high. It doesn't look great. Look what happens after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so this is, oh, wait, let me unhide something real quick. Okay. So day one, 47K in equity, $96. Look what happens at year 5 with a very modest rent increase and a very modest property value increase. If you can hold this for 5 years, you're at about 100K in equity. If you can hold this for 20 years, which I hope that you can hold everything for 20 years, we're at $750 per month, plus almost 300K in equity. Compound interest is insanely powerful, 30 years, the mortgage is paid off. You're cash flowing like an absolute king or queen. You have $500,000 in equity. This is assuming you don't change anything for 3 years. Now, I told you I would tell you about a long BRRRR. So the long BRRRR is, I left 13K in this deal. Okay. What happens if after 3 years, the value has gone up enough that, I have 80K in equity at this point? What if I were to refi again? What if rates come down and I refi again? And I only had my 13K in the deal for a couple years. Does that make this a little more exciting? For sure, right? So these are the things that if you are not thinking about strategy-wise, you are walking away from so many good deals. If you are purely looking at the cash flow and saying, Jessie, there's no good deals out there, there's no BRRRR deals, please sell them to me, because I will buy this all day, every day. And so this is a breakdown of this kind of deal is exactly what I buy. Truly, I have, of our portfolio, I'd say about 50 of the 70 look almost identical to this. This is my sweet spot, my bread and butter, my buy box. And then is something I would buy over and over and over. If you guys want to look at deals, your own deals like this with me every single week, we do that as part of the Rentals Made Easy Mastermind. And so we have students bring their deals in. We go over comparable sales. We go over finance terms. We go over rental comps, repair costs. We go over every single thing we did here, but on your deals. And so I am breaking down the method and exactly what the Rentals Made Easy looks like. It is right after this. It's 2:30 our time now, so about 3 o'clock Eastern, enough time to grab a snack, do what you need to do. And so Lizzie is going to once again drop that link in the comments. Would absolutely love to have you there. So our students are buying deals better than this. This is a common one, but we have Eve was on a few weeks ago investing out of state. She pulled $70,000 out of a BRRRR deal. And so it's possible. It is totally possible. Would love, love, love to show you how. So hop on that workshop and I will see y'all in just a bit. See ya.